best drive of the trip. There's a valley between Balmoral and Davis Mountains, and there are cliffs on either side. I'll show you this side too. I love it. Just this peaceful, serene valley. Amazing. Hi, I'm Jay, and this should be a 2-for-1 state park trip, but unfortunately, Indian Lodge is closed for renovation. However, this is Davis Mountains State Park. I could attend the Star Talk tonight, but let's be honest, I'm going to be dead asleep before dark. I would highly recommend a visit to Davis Mountains, and that's for anybody, because accessibility doesn't have to be an issue. If you can't hike, you can drive up Skyline Drive and even take in the sunrise like I did, and it is gorgeous. I couldn't get over the majesty of the sunrise, the beauty of the environment, and, like so many Texas state parks, it's been enhanced by the CCC. This circular tower is very similar to another that I visited in Mother Neff State Park. Initially, I'd planned to do a painting of Indian Lodge so that I could do a 2-for-1, Davis Mountains and Indian Lodge. Since technically there are two state parks on the registry. But yesterday's drive-in, one of the most beautiful drives of the whole series, maybe in my life, who knows. But what I loved in particular was the fall foliage on these trees and the unique rock formations that look almost like pillars. It's just incredible. So I think I have to do this scene. I know the light is changing rapidly. I do this to myself all the time. In my last painting, Balmoral, I tried to get the reflection and the fleeting effect of the ripples and all that stuff. It can be pretty overwhelming. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to remind myself, simplify, go for the important stuff, and I'm going to get started quickly and try to lock in what I'm seeing here. If there's time, maybe I'll throw in an Indian Lodge. We'll see. This is the scene that I'd like to paint. I think I'm going to crop it in about like this, so that there's an S-curve with the cliff pillars in the top right corner. There's a slight overlap of the dark bush in the foreground, and there's a diagonal Y of those yellow trees. That's what I'm going to be going for. Let's get into it. As I'm getting started here, you might be able to notice behind the paint that there are just a few lines drawn in pencil to indicate those compositional ideas that I talked about earlier, the S, the Y, and the overlapping shadow. I need some pretty vibrant colors to make this painting happen today, and since I want to emphasize the yellow of the cottonwoods, I chose to push the shadow into yellow's complement purple. So my palette is titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, cobalt teal, ultramarine blue deep, cobalt violet, and burnt umber. The wind started to pick up, and I had to hold on to the easel to keep it from blowing over. Eventually, I would just weigh down the easel to keep my hands free. Since one of my favorite things about the scene was the trees, I'm trying to, even though I've got very little in terms of what's described elsewhere, I'm trying to remind myself that that's most important. And so I've mixed up steps of color, and I'm using 4 different brushes. I've got a purple dark and a green dark. I've got sort of a green yellow and an orange yellow. I'm working those together and using a thick amount of paint. And I'm trying to describe the form of the trees while the light is still somewhat like I saw at the beginning. As you can tell, the light has come into the valley and things are pretty different, but I'm happy with where I've gotten so far. So I'm just gonna try to see if I can't get that accent on the trees. Add a little bit more context and call it done. As I descended from the Skyline Drive, I kept getting glimpses of the lodge, and I thought it might be cool to see how close I could get. But this visitor center caught my eye.
Morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good.
And then the birds sucked me in. Not only did I see species I'd never witnessed in person, the ranger there was just lovely. Oh, I bet.
We make homemade food, but somebody burned this batch, and so they're not eating much of it.
Indian Lodge is the least visited park in Texas, and even more so this year, while it's shuttered for rehab. This photo on the trail sign is great, and I wanted to see that view. I figured I could take the Montezuma Trail and join the Indian Lodge Trail just enough so I could snap a picture or two before I left. I talked to two lovely ladies at the trailhead, and they were telling me about this hike and others that they've done yesterday and will do tomorrow. And it made me think that maybe I'm doing a disservice, moving so quickly. There's so much beautiful park to see. I just can't get to it in the time that I have. I don't hate this though. This is pretty incredible. Even though I was able to take a few pictures, I really think that if I'm going to work from photograph, the best image is probably the first view of the lodge that I saw this morning as the sun was rising. One of the most common questions I get asked is, which park is your favorite? But how does one compare Caddo Lake and Caprock Canyons? Or Dangerfield and Davis Mountains? And what determines a park's greatness? Objective facts like the number of waterfalls or the amount of animals spotted? Or subjective experience? I do think about it a ton though while I'm hiking, and I'll share my top 10 parks at the conclusion of the project, but for now I will just say that I had an incredible time here and I can't recommend it highly enough. And if you want to string together your own Big Bend Country dream trip, Balmorhea to Davis Mountains to Fort Layton will take you through an art mecca, Marfa, Texas. I'm glad I visited in the past because my only stop here today is for gas. On to another Texas state park.